There's a secret monks have guarded for centuries, a simple ritual that can transform your night's sleep into a sanctuary of divine protection. Tomorrow is September 23rd, the feast day of Padre Pio, and today, on the eve of this sacred day, something extraordinary happens in the spiritual world. Have you ever felt that unrest before sleep? That feeling that something invisible is lurking in your home as you close your eyes? It's not paranoia, it's spiritual intuition. Padre Pio knew this. He battled the forces of darkness every night. He bore the wounds of Christ on his own body. He discovered something that forever changed how the faithful protect themselves during sleep. A rosary on the door. It seems too simple to be true, doesn't it? But let me tell you what really happens when you place a rosary at your bedroom entrance on the eve of Padre Pio's day. Let me show you why thousands around the world sleep in profound peace. After discovering this ancient ritual, Francesco Forgione, this was Padre Pio's real name, before becoming one of the most powerful saints of the Catholic Church. Born in 1887 into a humble family in southern Italy, but from childhood, he saw things others couldn't. At 5, Francesco spoke with the infant Jesus. At 7, he had visions of the Virgin Mary. And at 15, when he entered the seminary, something even more extraordinary began to happen in his life. The nocturnal temptations. Demons appeared in his room during the night. These weren't nightmares. They were real manifestations, leaving physical marks on his body. The convent superiors found Francesco in the mornings with scratches, bruises, signs of spiritual warfare. He spent entire nights in prayer, sweating, trembling, confronting forces most people can't even imagine exist. It was during one of these nights of spiritual battle that Padre Pio received a revelation, a vision that would change not only his life, but the lives of all who would follow his teachings. Our Blessed Mother Mary appeared to him holding a rosary. It wasn't an ordinary rosary. It was a rosary that shone with a supernatural light, and she said something he would never forget. "My son, this is the most powerful weapon against darkness. It is not merely an object of prayer. It is a sacred chain that blocks the entry of evil into any environment where it is placed with faith." From that night on, Padre Pio never slept without a rosary on his bedroom door, and the attacks stopped. But the most incredible discovery came years later, when he was already a respected friar in San Giovanni Rotondo. Padre Pio realized that the rosary's power intensified on specific dates, especially on the eve of great Marian feasts and saints' days, and September 23rd, which would become the day of his own canonization, was one of those special dates. On the eve of September 23rd, something changes in the spiritual atmosphere. It's as if the veil between heaven and earth thins. Prayers ascend more easily. Divine protection descends with greater intensity. You can feel it now. As you listen to these words, a different sensation in the air, a presence that wasn't there yesterday. Padre Pio taught that the rosary acts as a portal of protection. Each bead is a prayer that ascends to heaven. Each mystery is a story of good triumphing over evil. And when you place this sacred object on your bedroom door, it becomes a spiritual guardian. Think of the rosary as an invisible chain of light. Each Hail Mary is a link in that chain. Each Our Father is a knot that strengthens the protection, and when this chain is positioned at the entrance to your resting place, it forms a barrier that negative forces cannot cross. But it's not just about protection against evil. It's about something much deeper. Teresa, a 42-year-old nurse, wrote to me about her experience. She had been suffering from insomnia for months. Medicines didn't work. Therapy didn't help. She simply couldn't get a restful night's sleep. On September 22nd last year, the eve of Padre Pio's feast day, A friend told her about this ritual. Teresa was skeptical, but she was desperate. She took her grandmother's rosary, which had been in a drawer for years, and hung it on her bedroom door before going to sleep. She told me it was the first night in months she slept without interruption. She woke up refreshed, with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. And the most incredible thing, according to her, was the dream she had. Teresa dreamed she was walking through a luminous garden, where a figure dressed in brown blessed her with hands marked by wounds. When she woke up, she knew she had been visited by Padre Pio. Since then, every eve of September 23rd, Teresa repeats the ritual, and it's not just her. Michael, a businessman from New York, discovered the ritual while going through a devastating financial crisis. His company was on the verge of bankruptcy. He couldn't sleep, tormented by worries and anxiety. On the eve of Padre Pio's day, his mother, a devout follower of the saint, taught him about the rosary on the door. Michael, even though he wasn't very religious at the time, decided to try. That night, he had the most restful sleep in weeks. And the next day, he received an unexpected call. An investor who had rejected his proposal months before changed his mind. The company was saved. Michael swears it was Padre Pio's intercession, and since then, he has become a promoter of this ritual, teaching other struggling entrepreneurs. What really happens when you place a rosary on your door on the eve of Padre Pio's day? First, you're creating a field of positive spiritual energy. The rosary isn't just an object. It's a condenser of prayers from millions of faithful over centuries. Each rosary carries within it the power of all the Hail Marys ever prayed with it. Second, you're activating the direct intercession of Padre Pio. He promised to continue helping people even after death. He said he would perform more miracles in heaven than he did on earth. Third, you're aligning your home with celestial frequencies. On the eve of September 23rd, guardian angels become more active. Divine protection intensifies, and the rosary on the door acts as an antenna that captures this amplified protection. But there's a detail many don't know. A secret that Padre Pio revealed only to a few of his closest disciples. The rosary needs to be placed with specific intention. It's not enough to just hang it up. You need to say a prayer of consecration, a conscious surrender of your sleep and your dreams to the protection of our Blessed Mother Mary and the intercession of Padre Pio. The prayer is simple, but powerful. Padre Pio, intercessor of the afflicted, protect my sleep tonight. May this rosary be a shield of light against any force that seeks to disturb my peace. Mary, Mother of God, cover me with your maternal mantle. May I sleep protected by your presence. Amen. This prayer should be said while you hold the rosary. Feeling each bead between your fingers, visualize a golden light emanating from the rosary, spreading throughout the room. Padre Pio said that true power lies not in the object, but in the faith of the one who uses it. The rosary is an instrument, faith is the fuel, and the eve of September 23rd is the perfect moment to ignite that fuel. But you might be wondering, why specifically the eve? Why not on the 23rd itself? The answer lies in Christian mystical tradition. All great feasts begin on the eve, at the sunset before. It's the concept of first Vespers, dating back to the early centuries of Christianity. In Jewish tradition, of which Jesus was a part, the day began at sunset, not at midnight. Therefore, the most important Christian celebrations always began on the eve. And there's more. In Catholic spirituality, the eve is considered a time of special preparation. It's when the veil between the physical and the spiritual becomes thinner. It's when the saints intercede more intensely for the faithful who invoke them. Padre Pio, even in life, felt this intensity. He said that on the eves of great feasts, he could see the spiritual world more clearly. Visions became sharper, miracles flowed more easily, and now, decades after his death, this intensity remains. Thousands of people around the world report extraordinary experiences on the eve of September 23rd. Maria, a retired teacher of 73, says that every eve of Padre Pio she smells a sweet fragrance of roses in her room, even without having flowers nearby. She believes it's the supernatural perfume that always accompanied the Saint John, a mechanic of 38. Reports that on the eve of last year, he woke up in the middle of the night and saw a luminous figure at the foot of his bed, which gave him an indescribable sense of peace before disappearing. Anna, a university student, says that whenever she performs the Rosary ritual at the door, her dreams become extraordinarily vivid, full of messages that help her solve real-life problems. These are not isolated cases. They are manifestations of a spiritual reality that Padre Pio knew well. He knew that certain dates, certain practices, certain sacred objects function as portals between heaven and earth. The Rosary at the door is one of those portals. But let me explain something important about choosing the right rosary for this ritual. It doesn't have to be a special or expensive rosary. It can be that simple rosary your grandmother left you. It can be one you bought at a religious goods store. What matters is not the material value, but the intention with which you use it. However, there is a significant difference between a rosary that has already been prayed with and a new rosary. A rosary that has already been through many prayers carries within it the spiritual energy of all those prayers. It's like a battery charged with faith. If you have the rosary of a beloved family member who has passed away, even better. This rosary not only carries prayers, but also carries the love and protection of that person who continues to intercede for you from heaven. Padre Pio always said that sacred objects become more powerful as they are used with faith. Each prayer adds a layer of spiritual energy. Each tear shed in moments of supplication intensifies the power of intercession. Therefore, if you have an old rosary at home, this is the perfect time to take it out of the drawer and put it to work in your protection. And if you don't have a rosary, don't worry. You can get one today and start charging it with your prayers. The important thing is to begin. Some people ask me if it can be a scapular instead of a complete rosary. The answer is yes. The scapular is a part of the rosary and has the same power of protection. Padre Pio always carried a scapular in his pocket and said it was his constant spiritual weapon. Others ask about the exact position at the door. The rosary can be hung on the doorknob, on a small nail in the doorframe, or even placed on the floor leaning against the door. What matters is that it is marking the entrance to the room where you will sleep. And here's a detail that makes all the difference. The rosary must remain at the door all night. Don't take it down before dawn. Let it fulfill its mission as a nighttime guardian. Some faithful report that they feel a comforting presence in the room when they do this ritual. Others speak of extraordinarily peaceful dreams. Some awaken with solutions to problems that seemed impossible to solve. But the most common effect is a deep sense of protection and peace, as if you knew, deep down, that you are truly safe during the night. Padre Pio used to say that God never abandons his children, but that sometimes we need to create the right conditions to feel this divine presence. The rosary at the door is one of those conditions. It's a way of saying to heaven, I trust, I believe, I open my heart to receive your protection. And when you do this with sincerity, especially on the eve of a date as sacred as Padre Pio's Day, heaven answers. Now you understand why this ritual has spread silently among the most fervent devotees. Why entire families have adopted this practice. Why people who lived nights of restlessness finally discovered peace in their sleep. But there's something even deeper that I need to tell you about this mystery. Something that goes beyond personal protection. Something that connects you to a network of prayers that encircles the entire world. Imagine for a moment that there is an invisible current of light connecting all the rosaries in the world. A spiritual network where each Hail Mary prayed strengthens not only the one who prays, but all the other faithful connected on this same frequency of faith. Padre Pio saw this network. He said that when someone prayed the Rosary with true devotion, especially in moments of spiritual protection, that prayer echoed throughout the communion of saints. On the eve of September 23rd, this network intensifies. It's as if all the rosaries in the world vibrate at the same celestial frequency. And when you place your rosary at the door on this date, you are not only protecting your home, you are connecting with millions of other people doing the same ritual around the planet. Rosa, an 85-year-old Italian woman who lived in San Giovanni Rotondo and knew Padre Pio personally, told me something extraordinary about this global connection. She said that Padre Pio revealed to her, a few months before his death, that a time would come when his devotees around the world would be united by a special practice, a practice that would create a current of planetary protection on the eve of his feast day. Rosa still keeps a rosary that was personally blessed by Padre Pio. And every September 22nd, she places it on her front door at 6 in the evening, Bari time, precisely when the saint used to begin his evening prayers. She told me that at this specific moment, she feels a powerful energy flowing through her entire house, as if angels were positioning sentinels in every room. But the most impressive thing is that Rosa receives letters from people all over the world reporting similar experiences at the same time. People who don't even know of her existence, but who perform the ritual of placing the rosary on their door at the same moment. It's divine synchronicity in action. Dr. Giuseppe Gusso, a Catholic psychiatrist who has been studying mystical phenomena for over 20 years, has developed a fascinating theory about what happens during this collective ritual. According to him, when thousands of people simultaneously perform an act of faith, especially using sacred objects imbued with prayers like the Rosary, this creates what he calls a spiritual morphogenetic field. This field amplifies individual protection and creates an atmosphere of peace that transcends physical barriers. That's why many people report feeling a special presence not only in their homes, but throughout the neighborhood when they perform the ritual. Dr. Gusso documented cases where entire families in the same neighborhood started sleeping better after some residents adopted the practice of placing the rosary on their door, as if the protection spread from house to house. But for this phenomenon to happen in your life, it's important that you understand exactly how to perform the complete ritual. It's not just about hanging the rosary and that's it. There's a specific sequence that potentiates the effects. First, the ideal time to place the rosary on the door is between 6 in the evening and midnight on September 22nd. Avoid doing it during the day, as the spiritual energy of the eve manifests more intensely after sunset. Second, before placing the rosary on the door, hold it in your hands for a few minutes, close your eyes, and connect with the energy of all the prayers that have been made with that sacred object. Third, while holding the rosary, say a prayer of protection not only for yourself, but for your entire family and your home. Padre Pio taught that spiritual protection is more effective when we include our loved ones. The complete prayer that I recommend is this: Saint Padre Pio, intercessor of the afflicted and protector of families. I place this sacred rosary on the door of my home as a symbol of my faith and trust in divine protection. May Mary, through this rosary, form a shield of light around our house. May no negative force enter. May our sleep be peaceful and our dreams be blessed. Protect not only me, but all who dwell under this roof. May they awaken renewed on the morning of your feast day, covered by divine grace and mercy. Amen. Fourth, after saying the prayer, place the rosary on the door with reverence. It can be hung on the outer or inner doorknob, placed on the door frame, or even on the floor against the door. The important thing is that it clearly marks the entrance to the space. Fifth, before going to bed, light a white candle in honor of Padre Pio. You don't need to leave it burning all night for safety, but let it burn for at least an hour while you prepare for sleep. This sequence creates what mystics call a ritual of invocation. You're not just asking for protection, you're creating spiritual conditions for that protection to manifest in a tangible way. Many people ask me if they can perform the ritual even if they are not Catholic. The answer is yes. Padre Pio never discriminated between faithful of different denominations when it came to helping someone in need. What matters is the sincerity of faith and respect for the sacred. If you believe in the power of prayer and divine intercession, the ritual will work regardless of your specific religion. Jennifer, a Protestant pastor from Nashville, wrote to me telling me that she discovered this ritual through a Catholic friend and decided to try it, adapting the prayers to her own faith tradition. She replaced the direct invocation to Padre Pio with a prayer asking Jesus Christ to send his angels to protect the house, and she kept the rosary on the door as a symbol of continuous prayer. The result was the same: a night of deep and restorative sleep, as well as a sense of peace that remained in the house for several weeks. This proves that the power is not linked to specific doctrines, but to sincere faith and respect for sacred instruments of prayer. Now, let me tell you about something that often happens to those who practice this ritual, and that could happen to you too. Many people report extraordinarily vivid and significant dreams on the night they place the rosary on the door. These are not ordinary dreams. They are dream experiences that bring messages, emotional healings, or important revelations for life. Sandra, a 45-year-old lawyer, was going through a very difficult divorce when she discovered the ritual. On the night she placed the rosary on the door for the first time, she dreamed she was in an old church, talking to a friar who was giving her advice on how to forgive and move on. When she woke up, Sandra knew exactly what decisions to make regarding the separation process, and more. Importantly, she felt that the anger and resentment she had carried for months had diminished significantly. Miguel, a retired engineer, was facing health problems and concerns about the future when he performed the ritual. He dreamed he was walking through a garden where he met his father, who had passed away 10 years ago, who told him not to be afraid and that everything would be all right. The next day, Miguel received the results of medical tests that were better than expected, and the feeling of tranquility from the dream remained with him throughout his treatment. These dreams are not coincidences. Padre Pio always said that during sleep, when the conscious mind is at rest, the soul becomes more receptive to divine communications. The rosary on the door acts as a spiritual antenna that facilitates these communications. It's as if it creates a direct channel between your soul and the higher dimensions. But not all experiences happen through dreams. Some people report very real physical sensations during the night. Robert, a 60-year-old merchant, recounts that the first time he performed the ritual, he awoke in the early morning hours feeling a loving presence in the room. It wasn't frightening. It was comforting, as if someone invisible were watching over his sleep. He looked toward the door and saw that the rosary was emitting a soft, almost imperceptible light. Robert blinked a few times, thinking he was dreaming, but the light persisted. The next morning, he found the rosary exactly as he had left it, but he noticed that the beads were slightly warm, as if they had been touched during the night. Carmen, a night shift nurse, decided to perform the ritual on a day off, as she had been suffering from insomnia for weeks due to work stress. She placed the rosary on the door and lay down, expecting another restless night's sleep. But within minutes, a feeling of deep relaxation washed over her body. It was as if an invisible hand were gently massaging her forehead, relieving all the accumulated tension. Carmen slept for 12 consecutive hours, something she hadn't done in months. And when she woke up, she felt she had recovered not only her lost sleep, but also the inner peace she had lost due to overwork. What all these people discovered is that the rosary on the door on the eve of Padre Pio's feast day offers not just protection, it offers renewal, healing, restoration of something lost or damaged in the soul. It's as if that specific night were a gift from heaven, an opportunity for spiritual and emotional reset. But there's an even deeper aspect of this mystery that few know. Padre Pio possessed the gift of bilocation. He could be in two places at the same time, spiritually. There are historical documents proving that he appeared to people in distant countries at the same time he was physically in the convent in Italy. What many don't know is that this gift intensified after his death. Freed from the limitations of the physical body, Padre Pio can now appear simultaneously to millions of people who invoke him with sincere faith. On the eve of his feast day, when you place the rosary on the door and say the protective prayer, you are sending a direct invitation for him to spiritually visit your home. And he accepts that invitation. Padre Francesco, a Capuchin friar who currently lives in the convent where Padre Pio spent his last years, told me he receives hundreds of letters a month from people reporting apparitions of the saint on the eve of September 23rd. These are not hallucinations or imagination. They are real experiences of encountering the saint who promised never to abandon those who seek him with faith. Some people see him clearly, others only feel his presence. Many awaken to a faint scent of roses, which was the characteristic sign of Padre Pio's presence even in life. The important thing is that everyone reports a transformation after these experiences, a feeling that they have been truly visited by heaven. Maria Fernanda, a 58-year-old homemaker, told me that on the eve of last year's feast day, she woke up in the middle of the night and saw a luminous figure at the foot of her bed who smiled at her and blessed her with hands marked by wounds. She said she felt no fear, only immense gratitude and a peace she cannot describe with words. The figure remained for a few seconds and then gradually disappeared, leaving a faint fragrance in the air. The next day, Maria Fernanda received a call she had been waiting for months. Her daughter, who was having serious relationship problems, called saying she had decided to seek professional help and start life anew. For Maria Fernanda, there was no doubt that Padre Pio had interceded for her family. These experiences show us that the ritual of the rosary on the door is much more than a popular tradition. It's a real bridge between the physical world and the spiritual world. A channel of communication with higher dimensions, and you can experience this today. Today, September 22nd, the eve of Padre Pio's feast day, you have a unique opportunity. a chance to participate in this sacred mystery that has transformed the lives of thousands of people around the world. It doesn't matter if you are new to the faith or if you have been practicing for decades. It doesn't matter if your life is in order or if you are going through difficulties. The invitation is for everyone. Padre Pio always said that God does not distinguish between people. He welcomes all who approach with a sincere heart. If you have a rosary at home, take it out of the drawer now. If you don't, there's still time to get one at a religious goods store or a nearby church. The important thing is to begin. The important thing is to take this step of faith. When night comes, follow the ritual I have taught you. Hold the rosary, say the prayer, place it on the door with reverence, light a candle, prepare for a different night. Perhaps you will feel a special presence. Perhaps you will have meaningful dreams. Perhaps you will simply sleep better than you have in a long time, or perhaps something even more extraordinary will happen. Something you will want to tell other people, thus spreading this sacred mystery, because this is the true power of the ritual. Not only to transform those who practice it, but to create a wave of transformation that spreads from person to person, from family to family, from community to community. Each rosary placed on a door on the eve of Padre Pio's feast day strengthens the global network of protection and prayer. Each person who experiences this mystery becomes a channel of hope for others who need to discover this source of peace. You can be part of this current of light that encircles the world. You can be a link in this chain of protection that connects heaven and earth. All you need to do is believe. All you need to do is try. Tonight, when the sun sets, when the first stars appear in the sky, when the world begins to prepare for sleep, you will have the opportunity to experience something that can forever change your relationship with the sacred. A simple rosary on a simple door, a sincere prayer, an open heart. These are the ingredients of a miracle that is within your reach. Padre Pio is waiting for your invitation. Mary is ready to extend her mantle of protection over your home. The angels are waiting for the signal to stand guard around your home. That signal is the rosary on the door on the eve of September 23rd. That signal is your faith in action. This is your night. This is your opportunity. Now, before you reach for your rosary, let me tell you about 3 extraordinary events that happened specifically on the eve of last year, cases that will show you the true extent of this ritual's power. The first case involves Antonio, a 53-year-old bricklayer living in a favela in Rio de Janeiro. Antonio had been unemployed for 8 months. His family was struggling. He'd lost hope of finding work at his age. On the eve of Padre Pio's feast day last year, his wife, Dona Concepcion, borrowed a rosary from a neighbor, and they placed it on the doorstep of their shack. They prayed together, asking not only for protection, but also for a job opportunity to support their 3 children. That night, Antonio dreamed he was building a church. In the dream, a man dressed in brown handed him tools, saying, "The work is coming, my son. Have faith." The next morning, September 23rd, Antonio received a call from an unknown number. It was a contractor who had his phone number months before, but had never called. The man said he urgently needed an experienced bricklayer to renovate an old chapel. The job would last 3 months and pay well above the market average. Antonio accepted immediately. And when he arrived at the worksite, he discovered the chapel was dedicated to Padre Pio. Today, a year later, Antonio has not only finished that renovation, but has been recommended for other jobs. He's built his own team and is building the life he always dreamed of for his family. Dona Concepcion keeps that rosary like a relic, and every September 22nd, they repeat the ritual, thanking Padre Pio for the transformation he brought into their lives. The second case is even more impressive. Dr. Patricia, a 42-year-old oncologist, was on the verge of physical and emotional exhaustion. She had been losing many patients and questioning her abilities as a doctor. In addition, she herself had discovered a suspicious lump in her breast and was awaiting the biopsy results, terrified of the possibility of having cancer. On the eve of Padre Pio's feast day, an elderly patient told her about the Rosary ritual. The patient said Padre Pio was known as the saint of the sick and that she should try it. Dr. Patricia was skeptical about religious matters, but she was desperate. She bought a rosary at the hospital chapel and took it home. That night, she followed the ritual exactly. She placed the rosary on the doorstep, said the prayer, lit a candle. During her sleep, she had an extraordinary experience. She dreamed she was in an operating room, but not as a doctor. She was the patient on the table. A luminous figure approached and gently touched the area where the lump was. She felt an intense, yet comforting sensation of warmth. The figure then said, "Your mission as a healer is not yet over. You will save many lives, and your own life is protected." Dr. Patricia woke up with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in months, and something incredible had happened. The pain she felt in the area of the lump had completely disappeared. 2 days later, she received the biopsy results. Benign. What appeared to be a malignant tumor was just a cyst that was dissolving naturally. But the most extraordinary thing came in the following weeks. Dr. Patricia began to have surprising medical insights, diagnoses she couldn't explain logically, but which proved to be correct. She saved the lives of 3 patients whom other doctors had given up on, simply by following intuitions that came during prayer. Today, Dr. Patricia has become one of the most respected oncologists in her city, and she attributes this entire transformation to that night when she placed the rosary on the doorstep on the eve of Padre Pio's feast day. She keeps a rosary in her office and always talks to her patients about the power of faith in the healing process. The third case will touch your heart in a special way. Laura was a 16-year-old girl suffering from severe depression. She had attempted suicide twice and was hospitalized in a psychiatric clinic. Her parents, desperate, didn't know what to do anymore. The medication wasn't working. Therapy seemed to have no effect. Laura refused to talk to anyone. Laura's mother, Donna Helena, had been a devotee of Padre Pio since childhood. On the eve of the Saint's Day, she decided to do something she had never tried before. She secretly took a small rosary to the clinic and managed to discreetly place it under Laura's pillow while her daughter slept. Donna Helena spent the entire night in prayer, asking Padre Pio to intercede for her daughter's life. That morning, something extraordinary happened in Laura's room. The nurses reported seeing a soft light emanating from the room for a few minutes. When they went to check, they found Laura sleeping peacefully for the first time in weeks. But the most impressive thing was what Laura said the next morning. She said she had dreamed of a very kind man who showed her a garden full of flowers. The man said she had an important mission in life and that she needed to stay to fulfill it. He touched her forehead, and she felt all the sadness and despair leaving her heart, being replaced by a sense of hope she thought she had lost forever. Laura described the man in her dream in detail to the psychologist. The description was exactly that of Padre Pio, even though she had never seen a picture of the saint before. From that day on, Laura began to recover rapidly. She started talking again, smiling, showing interest in life. In 2 weeks, she was discharged from the clinic. Today, 3 years later, Laura is in college studying psychology. She wants to help other young people who go through what she went through. And do you know what's most incredible? Laura always carries the rosary her mother placed under her pillow that night in her pocket. She says it's her amulet of hope. These three cases show us something fundamental about the power of the Rosary ritual on the eve of Padre Pio's feast day. It's not just about protection during sleep. It's about a divine intervention that can completely change the course of a life. The ritual opens a portal for the sacred to enter our reality in a concrete way. And the effects extend far beyond that specific night. Antonio not only got a job, but discovered a new vocation. Dr. Patricia was not only healed, but became an instrument of healing for others. Laura not only overcame depression, but found her life's purpose. This is what happens when you truly connect with the intercession of a saint as powerful as Padre Pio. But there's something more you need to know about how to further enhance the effects of this ritual. Padre Pio always emphasized the importance of inner preparation before any spiritual practice. He said the heart must be clean to receive heaven's graces. Therefore, before placing the rosary on your door tonight, engage in a little spiritual preparation. First, take a few minutes for an examination of conscience. Reflect on the day, on your actions, on the relationships that need healing. Second, perform an act of conscious forgiveness. Forgive those who have hurt you. Forgive your own failings. Forgive life's difficult circumstances. Third, perform an act of gratitude. Give thanks for 3 good things that happened recently, even if they are small. This preparation creates a state of spiritual openness that allows graces to flow more easily. Padre Pio used to say that God doesn't force open the doors of the heart. He waits to be invited, and this preparation is a formal invitation for the divine to enter your life. Furthermore, there's a technical detail about the rosary's placement that can make a difference. If possible, place the rosary so that the cross faces outward from the house. The cross is the ultimate symbol of protection in Christianity, and when positioned facing outward, it acts as a spiritual shield against negative influences. If you have more than one rosary, you can place one at each entrance of the house. Padre Pio taught that the more points of protection, the stronger the spiritual field around the home becomes. Some families perform the ritual collectively. Parents and children gather, each holding the rosary for a few moments and praying together before placing the rosaries on the doors. This family practice creates a very powerful spiritual bond. Children grow up with a natural connection to the sacred, and adults feel they are fulfilling their role as spiritual protectors of the family. Mrs. Emily, a grandmother of 7, told me that 5 years ago she established this tradition in her family. Every September 22nd, children and grandchildren gather at her house for the collective ritual. She says it's the most special day of the year for the family. The children eagerly await the date, and everyone reports having special dreams that night. Most impressively, since they began this tradition, the family hasn't faced any serious crises. Health problems have been resolved quickly. Financial difficulties have found unexpected solutions. Family conflicts have dissolved naturally. Mrs. Emily is certain that it is Padre Pio's protection covering the entire family. But even if you live alone, you can create your own special tradition. Some single people perform the ritual not only for themselves, but also for distant relatives, for friends who are struggling, for neighbors they don't even know well. This practice further amplifies the power of the ritual because you are acting as a channel of protection for other people. Mark, a university professor who lives alone, told me that for 3 years he has been performing the ritual, asking for protection not only for himself but for all his students. He says he feels a spiritual responsibility for the young people under his academic guidance. And since he began this practice, he has noticed a significant improvement in the performance and emotional well-being of his students. Several students have sought out Mark to thank him for something they didn't even know he was doing for them. They reported feeling more protected and confident during his classes. This shows us that the ritual of the Rosary on the door can become a form of silent apostolate, a way to spread protection and blessings without people even knowing they are being benefited. Now, let me give you some important instructions for after the ritual. The following morning, September 23rd, remove the Rosary from the door with the same reverence with which you placed it. Hold it for a few moments and give thanks for all the protection received during the night. Keep the Rosary in a special place. Many people create a small home altar where they place the Rosary along with an image of Padre Pio and a candle. This altar becomes a point of daily prayer, a constant reminder of the divine protection that covers your home and family. Some people report that the Rosary used in the ritual gains special properties. They feel a different energy when they touch it. Others notice that it warms up slightly during prayers. This is not imagination. It is the result of the concentration of spiritual energy that the object has absorbed during that sacred night. Therefore, many devotees use this Rosary specifically in times of greater spiritual need, in illnesses, crises, important decisions. The Rosary becomes a direct channel of communication with Padre Pio, a direct line to celestial protection. And here's a secret that few know. You can repeat the ritual as many times as you want throughout the year, especially in times of difficulty. Although the eve of Padre Pio's day is the moment of greatest spiritual potency, the saint is always available to those who seek him with sincere faith. Many people adopt the habit of placing the Rosary on the door whenever they feel the need for extra protection. On stormy nights, when someone in the family is sick, during periods of crisis, the important thing is to maintain the same attitude of reverence and faith. The ritual works not because of the date, but because of the sincerity of the heart that practices it. Padre Pio always said that he would be more present in the lives of the faithful after his death than he was in life. Freed from the limitations of the physical body, he can simultaneously attend to millions of requests around the world, and the Rosary on the door is one of the most effective ways to establish this connection with the saint. So, now you have everything you need. You know the story. You understand the meaning. You know how to perform the ritual. You've heard the testimonies. There's only one thing left: to put it into practice. Tonight, when the first stars appear in the sky, when the silence of the sacred eve descends upon the world, you will have the chance to experience one of the most powerful spiritual secrets of the Catholic tradition. A secret that can transform not only your next night's sleep, but your entire relationship with the sacred. A secret that connects you with a global network of protection and prayer. A secret that opens the gates of heaven to your life. The Rosary awaits your hands. Padre Pio awaits your invitation. Mary is ready to extend her protective mantle over your home. All you need to do is believe. All you need to do is ask. This is your night of miracles. This is your opportunity to experience the extraordinary. Don't let it pass you by. Padre Pio, pray for us. This is a night for faith, a night for miracles, a night for divine intervention. Feel the power of prayer flowing through you like a river of grace, washing away doubt and fear. Tonight, the celestial frequencies hum with the promise of healing and peace. Embrace the sacred energy. Let the Rosary, a shield of prayer, protect you from the nocturnal anxieties that seek to steal your rest. Let each bead be a testament to your unwavering faith in the face of darkness. Feel the strength of Padre Pio's intercession. Picture his unwavering devotion, his profound connection to the divine. He fought the forces of darkness his entire life. His life was a testament to the power of unwavering faith. Let his example guide you tonight as you invite God's grace into your life. Tonight, sleep is not merely rest. It's a sanctuary, a sacred space where your spirit can commune with the divine, a refuge from the storms of the world. Draw strength from the image of our Blessed Mother Mary, her gentle gaze a beacon of hope. Let her maternal love envelop you, fostering a deep sense of peace. Remember September 23rd, a date imbued with the spiritual energy of Padre Pio. Tonight, under the watchful eyes of the guardian angels, with the Rosary as your spiritual armor, and the protection of the infant Jesus, let your prayers ascend to heaven. Let them penetrate the veil between earth and heaven, touching the very heart of God. Tonight, believe. Tonight, act. Tonight, receive the miracle that awaits you. For tonight, under the watchful eye of Padre Pio, everything is possible.